They say imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. My brother-in-law, Felix, taught me it's actually just theft with better PR. My name is Giselle, and 3 years ago I spent 18 months developing a restaurant concept that was going to change my life. Farm-to-table Caribbean fusion in Brooklyn. Sustainable sourcing. Community-focused. A celebration of my Haitian heritage mixed with modern culinary techniques. I called it Lakay, home in Haitian Creole. I had the business plan, the recipes perfected, the location scouted. I'd saved $80,000 and was weeks away from securing investors. Then I made one catastrophic mistake. I shared everything with family, including Felix. Felix was married to my older sister, Camille. He was charming, ambitious, and always looking for the next big opportunity. When I showed him my concept during a family dinner, he seemed genuinely excited. "This is incredible, Giselle. You're going to crush it. If you need any help with investors, I know people." 2 months later, Felix opened his own restaurant. Same concept, same neighborhood, same Caribbean fusion menu, even the same sustainable sourcing angle I'd spent a year developing relationships for. He called it Roots. And he didn't just steal my idea. He stole my investors, my head chef, my signature dishes, even the contractor I'd lined up to build out my space. He launched with $500,000 in funding, money that should have been mine. Within 6 months, Roots was being featured in the New York Times, Eater, and Bon Appetit. Felix became the face of innovative Caribbean cuisine in Brooklyn. My restaurant never opened. My investors ghosted me. My savings were gone. Felix had erased me from my own story. But here's what he didn't know: I'm a chef. And chefs know that the best dishes require patience, precision, and perfect timing. So I waited. I watched. I documented everything. And 2 years later, I didn't just expose Felix's theft. I made his investors pull out, his restaurant collapse, and his reputation implode so completely that he'll never work in this industry again. This is how I destroyed the man who stole my dream. Let me tell you about Lakay. I started developing the concept 5 years ago while working as a sous chef at a high-end restaurant in Manhattan. I was exhausted from cooking other people's visions, tired of making French cuisine and Italian pasta when my heart was screaming to cook the food I grew up with: griotte, pickles, juma soup, lambi. The dishes my grandmother made in Port-au-Prince before immigrating to New York. But I wanted to elevate it, make it contemporary without losing the soul. I spent 2 years experimenting. I traveled back to Haiti 3 times, learning from street vendors and home cooks. I studied traditional techniques and figured out how to marry them with modern plating and presentation. I quit my job and spent a year building the business plan. I found a small space in Bedford-Stuyvesant, a neighborhood with deep Caribbean roots but experiencing rapid gentrification. I wanted Lakay to be a bridge, affordable enough for locals, elevated enough to attract the new demographic. I developed relationships with farmers in upstate New York and small producers in Haiti. Direct sourcing, fair prices, sustainable practices. By the time I had everything ready, I'd saved $80,000 from years of 60-hour work weeks. I needed $250,000 more to open. That's when I started pitching investors. Felix entered my life 6 years ago when he married my sister Camille. He was a finance guy, worked in private equity, always wore expensive suits, and talked about deals and opportunities. I didn't particularly like him, but he was family, and Camille seemed happy. Felix had always shown interest in my career. He'd ask questions about the restaurant industry, food trends, what made concepts successful. I thought he was just being supportive. I should have known better. During Thanksgiving dinner 3 years ago, I brought my full business plan for Lakay. I was excited. I wanted family feedback. I presented everything: the concept, the menu, the financial projections, the investor pitch. Felix was mesmerized. "Giselle, this is genius. Seriously, the market positioning is perfect. Caribbean food is having a moment, but nobody's doing it at this level in Brooklyn. Camille beamed. I'm so proud of you, sis. My mother cried happy tears. Felix pulled me aside after dinner. Listen, I have a friend who invests in restaurant concepts. Let me connect you. This is exactly the kind of thing he looks for. I hugged him. Thank you, Felix. That would be amazing. He smiled. Family takes care of family. 2 weeks later, he ghosted me. I followed up 3 times. He said his friend was traveling and he'd circle back. He never did. I moved forward anyway. I found other investors to pitch. I scheduled meetings. Then, for months after that Thanksgiving dinner, Camille called me. Giselle, I have amazing news. Felix is opening a restaurant. My blood went cold. What? Yeah, he's been working on it in secret. It's a Caribbean concept. Isn't that wild? You two must have inspired each other. I could barely breathe. Where is it? Bed Stewie. He found an incredible space. The opening is in 3 months. I went to the location the next day. It was the space I had been negotiating for. The landlord had suddenly stopped returning my calls 2 months earlier. Now I knew why. I looked through the construction site windows and saw my vision coming to life. The open kitchen design I'd sketched. The reclaimed what I'd wanted. Even the color palette. I called Felix immediately. We need to talk. He sounded cheerful. Giselle, hey, I heard you found out about Roots. Exciting, right? I was going to tell you soon. You stole my concept. Silence. Then carefully. I don't know what you mean. We're both doing Caribbean food. Sure. But that's not exactly a novel idea. Felix, you copied everything. The location, the design, the sustainable sourcing angle. You even stole the space I was negotiating for. Giselle, I didn't steal anything. I saw an opportunity in the market and moved on it. If anything, you should be flattered. Great minds think alike. My voice shook. I showed you my entire business plan, my menu, my investor pitch, everything. And I appreciated you sharing that family moment with us. But I built Roots from scratch with my own vision. If there are similarities, it's because we're solving the same market gap. You stole my investors. He laughed. Actually laughed. I didn't steal anyone. I pitched them a solid concept, and they chose to fund it. That's business, Giselle. I'm sorry you're upset, but this is how the industry works. First mover advantage. I was first. I showed you everything a year ago. You showed me an idea. I executed. There's a difference. I felt rage boiling in my chest. I'm going to expose you. Expose what? That we're both doing Caribbean food? Go ahead. Nobody cares. And honestly, Giselle, who's going to believe you? I have the restaurant. I have the funding. I have the investors backing me. You have what? A PowerPoint. He hung up. I stood there shaking, tears streaming down my face. He'd stolen everything. And he was right, I had no proof. No legal claim. Just my word against his. The next 6 months were hell. I tried to continue with Lakay. I pitched new investors. But Felix had poisoned the well. I discovered later that he'd quietly told investors in the Brooklyn restaurant scene that I'd copied his concept and was trying to piggyback on his success. He'd flipped the narrative entirely. Meetings that had been scheduled got canceled. Investors stopped returning calls. My contractor backed out and went to work on Roots instead, for triple the rate Felix paid him. My head chef, a talented Haitian cook named Jean-Baptiste, who'd been planning to partner with me, got offered twice the salary to work at Roots. He apologized. Giselle, I have a family. I can't turn down that money. I understood, but it still destroyed me. Roots opened in September with a massive launch party. Food bloggers, influencers, local politicians. The entire Brooklyn food scene showed up. The reviews were glowing. Felix Laurent has created something special. a vibrant celebration of Caribbean cuisine with sophisticated technique and sustainable practices. They praised his vision, his innovation, his community commitment. My vision, my innovation, my commitment. Felix gave interviews about his inspiration, his connection to Caribbean culture, through his wife's family, his passion for sustainability. He never mentioned me. Not once. Camille was thrilled. She posted constantly on social media about her brilliant husband and his amazing success. I tried to talk to her. Camille, he stole my concept. Everything you're celebrating, I created. She looked at me with pity. Giselle, I love you, but you're being paranoid. Felix worked incredibly hard on this. Just because you both had similar ideas doesn't mean he stole anything. I showed him my entire business plan. Ideas aren't property. Execution is what matters. I'm sorry Lakay didn't work out, but you can't blame Felix for your failure. That word, failure, cut deeper than anything else. I stopped going to family dinners, stopped answering calls. I fell into depression. I'd lost my dream, my savings, my family support. Felix had won, or so it seemed. 6 months after Roots opened, I was bartending at a small restaurant in Queens just to pay rent. I was 34 years old, broke, and watching someone else live my dream. Then I got a message on LinkedIn. It was from someone named Dario Mercado. His title was VP of Investments, Brightwater Capital. Brightwater was one of the firms that had funded Roots. The message was simple. Hi Giselle, I'd like to speak with you about Felix Laurent and Roots. Coffee. My heart started pounding. I agreed to meet. Dario was in his 40s, impeccably dressed, with a kind of quiet intensity that made you pay attention. We met at a coffee shop in Manhattan. Thank you for meeting me, he said. I'll get straight to the point. I'm conducting due diligence on Roots because something doesn't add up. What do you mean? Felix's pitch to us was compelling. Sustainable sourcing, community focus, authentic Caribbean cuisine. But the execution has been inconsistent. Suppliers have complained about payment issues. The menu keeps changing. And several staff members have quit, citing Felix's lack of culinary knowledge. I stayed quiet. Dario continued. Then I heard rumors. People in the industry saying Felix didn't actually develop the concept, that he'd taken it from someone else. He looked at me directly. Your name kept coming up. I felt something shift in my chest. Why are you telling me this? Because Brightwater invested $300,000 in Roots based on Felix's representation that he was the original creator of the concept. If that's fraudulent, we have legal recourse. But I need proof. I met his eyes. I have proof. I showed Dario everything. The original business plan I'd created 18 months before Felix opened Roots. Time-stamped emails to suppliers establishing relationships. Recipe development notes with dates. Photos of my menu tests with metadata showing they were created a year before Roots opened. Text messages between me and Jean-Baptiste discussing the Lakay concept months before Felix approached him. Most importantly, I had the original pitch deck I'd presented at Thanksgiving, the one Felix had seen. Every element of Roots was there. The design aesthetic, the sustainability angle, even specific menu items. Dario reviewed everything methodically. Then he looked up. This is ironclad. Felix committed investment fraud. He misrepresented himself as the originator when he stole your concept. What does that mean for you? It means we can pull our funding and sue for fraud. But more importantly, it means I can help you destroy him. Why would you help me? Dario smiled grimly. Because I hate thieves. And because Brightwater's reputation matters. We don't fund plagiarists. What do you need from me? Permission to use this evidence, and your willingness to go public when the time comes. I didn't hesitate. You have it. Dario worked methodically. First, He brought the evidence to Brightwater's legal team. They confirmed grounds for fraud. Then, he contacted the other investors in Roots, 2 additional firms and 3 private individuals. He showed them everything. Within 2 weeks, all of Roots' investors had filed formal notices of intent to withdraw funding and pursue legal action for fraudulent misrepresentation. But Dario went further. He contacted every food journalist who'd written glowing reviews about Roots. He sent them my original business plan, the timeline of development, and the evidence of Felix's theft. The story broke 3 weeks later. Eater published first. Brooklyn restaurant Roots accused of concept theft and investor fraud. The article detailed everything. My original concept, the Thanksgiving dinner, the stolen investor connections, the timeline proving I developed Lakay long before Felix claimed to have created Roots. They interviewed Jean-Baptiste, who admitted Felix had approached him after learning he was supposed to work with me. They interviewed suppliers who confirmed I'd established relationships with them months before Roots existed. They published side-by-side comparisons of my menu and Roots' menu. It was devastating. Other outlets picked up the story immediately. The New York Times, Bon Appetit, Grub Street. Suddenly Felix wasn't an innovative chef entrepreneur. He was a con artist who'd stolen his sister-in-law's concept. Felix tried to fight back. He released a statement claiming the allegations were false and that he'd developed Roots independently. Nobody believed him. His investors released a joint statement announcing the immediate withdrawal of all funding and the filing of a lawsuit seeking return of the initial $500,000 investment plus damages. Health inspectors suddenly became very interested in Roots. They found violations, nothing catastrophic, but enough to generate negative press. Staff members started quitting publicly, posting on social media about Felix's incompetence and mistreatment. Reservations plummeted. Within 6 weeks of the story breaking, Roots closed permanently. Felix declared bankruptcy. The lawsuit from his investors proceeded. They won a judgment for the full $500,000 plus legal fees. Felix and Camille lost their apartment. Their marriage collapsed under the pressure. She filed for divorce 4 months later. I saw Felix one time after everything fell apart. It was at a coffee shop in Manhattan. I was meeting with new investors, real investors, this time who wanted to fund Lakay. He was sitting alone at a corner table, looking diminished in a way I'd never seen. Our eyes met. He stood and walked over. "Giselle." I said nothing. "I'm sorry. I know it doesn't matter now, but I am. I was greedy. I saw an opportunity and I took it. I didn't think about what it would do to you. Or to us." I looked at him for a long moment. "Felix, you didn't just steal my concept. You stole 18 months of my life, my savings, my relationships. You tried to erase me from my own story. I know. And the only reason you're sorry is because you got caught." He looked down. "You're probably right. I don't need your apology. I don't need anything from you. You're finished in this industry. Everyone knows what you did. That's enough for me." I walked away and didn't look back. Lakay opened 18 months after Roots closed. Different location, a better one, actually in Clinton Hill. Better investors who understood my vision and respected my leadership. Better team, including Jean-Baptiste, who apologized profusely and came back at his original salary. Better everything. The opening was magical. My mother cut the ribbon. My grandmother flew up from Florida. Friends, former colleagues, and supporters packed the space. The reviews were incredible. Giselle Moreau has created something truly special, a restaurant that honors Caribbean culinary traditions while pushing them forward with creativity and respect. We were profitable within 6 months. Within a year, Lakay had been featured in Bon Appetit's Best New Restaurants list. I opened a second location 2 years later. Today, Lakay is worth over $3 million. We employ 47 people. We've launched a culinary training program for young Haitian chefs. And every day, People walk through our doors and experience the vision I created. Not Felix's knockoff. The real thing. Camille and I eventually reconciled. It took time. She'd been humiliated by Felix's actions and the divorce. She apologized for not believing me. I should have trusted you. I'm sorry. I forgave her. Family is complicated, but I never forgot. I heard Felix moved to Florida and works in restaurant management at a corporate chain. No ownership, no creativity, just executing someone else's vision. The irony isn't lost on me. Last month, someone forwarded me a post he'd made on LinkedIn. It was about learning from failure and the importance of integrity. I almost laughed, but mostly I felt nothing. Because here's what I learned. Thieves can steal your concept, but they can't steal your competence. Felix took my business plan, but he never understood what made it work. He thought it was about the menu and the aesthetic, but it was really about authenticity, relationships, and a deep understanding of the food and culture. Things you can't fake. Things you can't steal. You either have them or you don't. Felix didn't. I did. And that's why Lakay thrives while Roots is a cautionary tale. Today, I'm 37 years old. I own 2 successful restaurants. I've trained 15 young chefs through our program. I've been profiled in Food and Wine, Savoy, and the New York Times. And every time someone asks me about Roots, about Felix, about the theft, I tell them the truth. It made me stronger. Because when someone steals your dream, you have 2 choices. You can let it destroy you, or you can rebuild it better. I chose the second option. And here's what Felix never understood. You can copy a concept, but you can't copy the soul. Lakay isn't just a restaurant. It's my grandmother's cooking. It's my mother's strength. It's my culture, my heritage, my heart. Felix tried to bottle that and sell it, but you can't commodify authenticity. You can only live it. 3 months ago, I got an email from a young chef. She'd been working on a concept for 2 years. She was excited, ready to pitch investors. Then her business partner stole the idea and opened without her. She was devastated, broke, ready to give up. She asked me what to do. I told her my story, and then I told her this. Document everything. Build your case. Find allies. And when the moment is right, don't get angry. Get strategic. And most importantly, don't stop cooking. The people who steal ideas can never steal talent. Your gift is yours. Protect it. Perfect it. And when you're ready, build something so undeniably yours that nobody can ever take credit for it. She wrote back a week later. She'd started documenting. She'd found a lawyer. She was fighting back. And she was cooking again. That's the real legacy of this story. Not revenge. Not destruction. Resilience. Because Felix didn't teach me how to hate. He taught me how to build something theft-proof. Something rooted in authenticity so deep that no amount of imitation can touch it. Roots closed. Lakay thrives. And every night when I stand in my kitchen and watch my team plate dishes my grandmother taught me to cook, I know exactly why. Subscribe if you believe the best revenge isn't destroying what they stole. It's building something so undeniably yours that their counterfeit version dies of its own irrelevance. Because some victories aren't loud. They're just permanent.